At 50. Hey, we just went down. How's that work? Agrinas, be careful. All right, we're at 50. I think we can start. You're in another meeting? I don't need you though, right?
Rabbi, I think just wait 60 seconds. The email went out a minute late.
No problem. I'll wait 60 seconds.
Then we'll see your nigga.
Rabbi Greenhouse, be careful. Get your hands on the wheel. Put your hands on the wheel. Not hands, both hands. Rabbi Levin, Shalom Aleichem. Fisher Brothers, Shalom Aleichem. Rabbi Nager, your head, I only see like from your nose there. It looks weird. Fix your camera.
Yeah, Rabbi could just tell everyone that it's the same idea every day. They don't have to get an email. It's always going to be sheer.
Thank you, Rabbi Favel. I see you fixed your picture, your head over there. It's a shame every day, 4:45.
Exactly. They don't have to wait for the email.
Don't wait for the email, Bryce. I'm just waiting to 60 that you should all be Batal B'Shishim. 1 minute. 3, 2. Where's Rabbi Elbaz? I saw you putting out these fancy pictures. What is this all about? Fancy pictures of G'dolei Ador? What, you don't think I get this?
We got to 60.
All right.
61.
I'm ready to go, Rabbi Isai. You ready to begin? A few hours here before we go to the big sugya. Bez Hashem, new sugya, Sif Daled. But before the sugya, just let's talk about a few nakudas. So first of all, someone sent me a picture of this, what I've been calling Gesundheit. Apparently it's called Labriut, not Gesundheit. So somebody sent me a picture of this. And I must tell you, it's interesting. I'll tell you what I saw that Rebelsky says. Rebelsky said a lot of the same minyanim that we spoke about, but now that I saw a picture, I'm not 100% sure. Just to make a recap over here, the way it works is that you take this magnesium, you break it inside the water, inside the sodium water, and then it makes this chemical reaction. And this chemical reaction heats up the water. That's the first issue. The second issue is then the water. You take this box that has in it the actual food and has actually a fork in it, and it comes with a napkin and whatever. You take that out, you put inside the steam, and now it fills up the box of steam. And the food that's in there, which was previously cooked, gets heated up. That'll be the second shiloh. And then we have to don the shiloh of heating the water. We have to don the shiloh of the steam going around. We have to don the shiloh of making the steam. And we have to don the shiloh of maybe even atmana. Let's go in order over here. Now that I've seen it, I'm a little bit more adept to discuss the Indian. First of all, Gabi, making the water that we spoke about, and I saw that Rebelsky said the same thing. That l'chayra is pashit. Is that l'chayra the water itself to make? That's chama. That's a classic and perfect example of cooking the chama. The haini, you're cooking without a fire. You're cooking in a way which is not the norm. It's certainly not the normal way of cooking. It doesn't seem like it is going to become the normal way of cooking. I'm talking klape, just the water now, making that water go from cold to boiling hot. Just klape that water itself. So klape that, number one is that there's no eish. Shlomo Zalman would say it's for sure chama. Rav Moshe told us it's totally on. If it's a normal way of cooking, did it take on? Can we look at it now as being a tolda? It seems to be that it is not a normal way, and I don't know how soon it's going to become a normal thing. So therefore, the water itself, that's not an issue. Before I continue, does everybody hear me and see me fine? Everybody hears me and sees me fine. Okay, good. Rabbi Elbaz seems to not to hear me and see me fine. There you go. Good boy. Akapanim. So that's before we start. That's on the water. That's what we said. I saw Rebelsky says the same thing. And even after seeing the picture and the email of this product, that part doesn't bother me. The next issue is I saw that Rebelsky says it depends now what type of food are you reheating, because we know, and that's really Bez Hashem, the big sugya that we're going to talk about today. We know that when it comes to a solid food which has been previously cooked, so then we say ein bishul achar bishul. once something was cooked already, even though it's cold now, but the benefit of making it go from cold to hot is not considered a chashiva result. The fact that it's already been cooked, already it's been isbashal. So we say on that, ein bishul achar bishul. That's the klal and the mitzvah Shem. We're going to talk about that a lot. We say that on a dry thing. Ein bishul achar bishul. Once something is dry, it has been cooked already. A potato kugel is a good example. A challah is a good example. A piece of schnitzel is a good example. To take that item and to now heat it up again in a way where there's no issues of chazara. For example, you put it on top of a cholent pot or an upside down pan or chadaim or one of these things. So then we say b'kai gavna ein bishul achar bishul, right? L'chayra. Now, Rabbi Kallus, I don't understand the question. The ein bishul achar bishul. When it comes to a davar lach, when it comes to something that is wet, so on something that's wet, it's different rules. If you have water that was heated up, and then we'll see in Mitzvah Shem how much it got hot, but once water was cooked, so on that, now the water went back down to being cold. We'll see what, where, when, how. But Al Kapanim, once it's already no longer with the same effects, you have chicken soup that was hot and now it became cold. On that we say yesh bishul achar bishul, even though it was once cooked, but it could be called bishul again. Okay, in Mitzvah Shem, these things we're going to talk about, which means that simply said, if you have chicken soup and you take it off and you were holding it the whole time, I don't want to get involved in chazara, and you planned on putting it back and the chicken soup is now cold. Could you take the chicken soup and put it back onto the hot plate? You planned on putting it back the whole entire time. The answer is no, because yesh bishul achar bishul bedavar lach. Once something was previously cooked in liquid, now that it lost, you can understand, but Hashem, we'll talk about it more, but the ikar result, the ikar bishul, when it comes to a liquid, is the heat. If the heat is gone, yesh bishul achar bishul. It's Hashem. Obviously, we're going to talk about this more. There's a big shaila. What about if a food is partially liquid and a food is partially a solid? This is very negeya. You have a potato kugel, which is oily. You have schnitzel, which is oily. You have a cholent, which has liquid in it. And I don't mean like, it's mamish a soup. I mean, you have a cholent that it's definitely wet. It's definitely wet, right? How do I view that in halacha? Do I view that in halacha that it's a solid, and we'll say ein bishul achar bishul, or do I view it's a liquid, and we say yesh bishul achar bishul? Everybody understands what I'm saying? Everyone understands it? I know we didn't start this yet, but I'm trying to bring out. Everybody's with me? We're all together. I know it's Sunday morning. It's a little bit too early for this. It's too early. I also feel it's too early, Rabbi. I know. But that's a big shaila. Do we say when you have a solid that we look at the solid and therefore we don't care that there's a liquid? Or do we say, no, once there's any bit of liquid over there, then avada, yesh bishul achar bishul, when it's a liquid. Now, there's going to be a place where we have to give in, Rabbi Yisai, because every potato kugel has moisture and every schnitzel has moisture. So then what do I care that you're putting back the schnitzel? Ein bishul achar bishul b'davar yavesh. There's always going to be a little bit of moisture, right? So we're going to have to give in a little bit. This itself is a world war. What we give in on, how we give in on, and we're going to get there. Akapanim. So I saw that Rebelsky says like this. He says, so legabe breaking the magnesium into the sodium, that is chama. You're allowed to make that water hot on Shabbos. He said, but now what's coming out? The edim, the steam is coming out. The tolda's chama is coming out. It's the tolda of the chama. So the tolda of the chama is going to be cooking your food. So he says, so it depends. If you have in there solid foods, let's say a potato kugel or a schnitzel, so we'll say ein bishul achar bishul, ein bishul achar bishul b'davar yavesh, and the fact that it's heating it up, who cares? It's boiling it up and it's making it hot. Ein bishul achar bishul b'davar yavesh. He says, but mashenkein, let's say, and he says, and I saw it in the picture. They said they give you, let's say, a piece of chicken, and it has a sauce. That was the picture that someone sent to me. So he says the chicken that has sauce in it. So now on that we're going to say already yesh bishul achar bishul, because there's a davar lach in there. So the solid itself, ein bishul achar bishul. Yeah, but we're machmer, and we say, even though there are shitas that say no, it depends once you have roiv, and over there by the case of the chicken, it was roiv solid and only a little bit of juice, but still we say yesh bishul achar bishul in the davar lach. Right? And it's so I would say like this, I'm being asked, is it saucy sauce or is it congealed? I saw it through a picture. So through a picture, they don't show you the product before. They show you the product afterward. So I'm not able to answer that question, but we'll see if that makes a difference anyways. I'm imagining that it was. Yeah, I'm not sure. Why? The only thing I want to bring out over here is that I think this is a very big chiddush of Rebelsky. Very big chiddush. Why? Because Rabbi told us, is this told us chama, yes or no? You kedan. I'm not 100% convinced. Why am I not convinced? Because here you have in front of you the chama. You see in front of you the sun. What I mean, you see in front of you the sun. You see the magnesium, you see the salt, you see the water, and therefore it's not doima to the regular case of toldas chama. The regular case of toldas chama is that you have a hot piece of metal. I don't know how it got heated from the sun, or I don't know if it got heated from fire. So therefore we say michlaf bezeh. You'll come to make the mistake and you'll come to think, well, if I can heat up on this, I'm not going to know how it got heated. So I'll come to go and heat it up. I'll come to make the mistake and say that toldas or is mutter. Okay, so I would have thought, but let's say I should have the sun beating on the hot plate in front of my face. I know I got hot. So I could have heard a svara, which is not a muchach svara. It's not a muchach svara. I could hear a svara that then the guy governor loy mechlaf. I could hear it not like that. I could hear someone saying, what do you mean loy mechlaf? Chazal now made exera. So they answered tolda of chama, and I don't care if you see the sun in front of your face. They answered the told of the chama, and it's true, like Rabbi Ratchkin saying, there is a marshal that sounds like I'm saying akopanim, but I would have thought that if you have in front of you the makor, which is the chama, and I have the steam, so then in such a case, I'm not going to say it's michlaf, and I'll say it's a told us, even though it's neveya from a chama, but I see the chama, maybe the guy governor didn't answer, and I can hear someone saying not like that. Rebelsky clearly took on not like that. Rebelsky says, Chazal made exera. Once they already made exera, they said tolda of chama is aser. This is for sure the tolda of chama. The steam comes from the chama, and therefore they answered it. I don't care if you see in front of your face the sun. Okay, I could hear that, Rabbi said. But what are we dealing with? We're dealing with an issa d'Rabbanan. We're not dealing with issa d'Oraisa. Told us chama, no matter what, it's only an issa d'Rabbanan. So on an issa d'Rabbanan, when we're going to see in the first place, there are shitas. We don't paskin like this, but there's prima gadim and chuskayin. There are shitas that hold that if you have a salad which has roiv salad and a little bit of liquid, like the chicken that we were describing, a little bit of sauce and a chicken, so the mekai gavna, we don't consider this to be yesh bishul achar bishul b'davar lach. We say it's ein bishul achar bishul b'davar yavesh, and that the liquid is bottled to the salad. I would have thought that Avada, we don't paskin like that. But if you put all of these studim together, number one, I think this might be chama. Number two, if it's told as chama, it's only d'Rabbanan. And if it's only d'Rabbanan to be machmir on the shaila of yesh bishul achar bishul b'davar lach, which is roiv yavesh, that I think is a very big chumrah. So therefore, now that I see inside exactly what they're selling, Rebelsky said, not like I'm saying, but Akapanim, I would have thought there would be a market to be makel. That's number one. Is that crystal clear, Rabbi side? Sunday morning, it's a little bit too early for this. No? Rabbi Hatchkin, where are you? Lakewood. What is it? It's like in the morning there, no? And so wait, we'll see in a minute. That's why Rabbi Slansky's asking me if I'm being makel entirely. But let's see in a minute, because I have other cheshbonis here anyways. Stretchy time. You had 3 days of stretchy time. What do you mean stretchy time? You've had stretchy time. You guys are all wearing stretchies right now. You haven't left your stretchies in 7 straight weeks. But Akopanin, that's the first thing. The first thing is making the water. Rabbi Zalter, there's no games. Making the water for sure is mutter. That's not a shaila, right? After you make the water, the shaila is what about the steam coming out? I'm noita. That steam itself might have a din of chama because you see the chama. Okay, that's a chiddush, but it's definitely not more than a drabanan. There's nobody in the world that says it's more than a drabanan. Once it's drabanan, so maybe we could say that it's considered drabanan on a yesh bishul achar bishul b'davar lach, where the lach is considered really nisbatel to the yavesh. I would have thought there's a market to be make on that. The going doesn't apply over here, Rabbi Rosenberg, because we're trying to say that that's maybe what Chazal answered. Chazal told us that the Isser is that it's michlaf, and the Marshal says when it's not michlaf, when you won't make the mistake, so then we don't make the Isser. But okay, let's see. I could definitely, even if you do say like Rebelsky, I have a taina, because it's only the Rabbanan who says we're machmir when the entire bishul is Rabbanan on the shaila. Who says that we're machmir on the shaila of roiv yavesh and miyat lach when in the first place, the whole entire shaila is a Rabbanan. Okay, but that's number one. Number two is you could don a new shaila, which we didn't don the other day, but now that I see how this thing works, I see that you do have to don the shaila. Is there an issur of taking hot water and making steam? Are you allowed to make steam on Shabbos? That's a new shaila. Are you allowed to make steam on Shabbos? What's the shaila allowed to make steam? So generally, it's not so nageya. right? It's not Negeya. What do I mean it's not Negeya to make steam on Shabbos? Because B'derek Klal, how are you going to make steam? The only way to make steam B'derek Klal is Manashach. If you're taking hot water and putting it onto onto a fire or something like that, so let's say it was previously cooked water and it's hot now, so then the steam is going to come in Mela. So that Mistama, the only shaila that we're going to be dining on is moilid. The only shaila is the moilid, and you're not going to say a moilid on something he's not being makavin to. That we find in our simon, we're going to talk about this, that there's no moilid if you're not even trying to do the moilid. So here, if I take the water, which is hot, and I take off a tea and then I put it back, and when I put it back, it's going to steam up, but I don't care about the steam. So that for sure is not a moilid. Are you allowed to make steam on Shabbos? So what's a negeya? So it's negeya vaporizer, a dehumidifier. I think it's a humidifier, no? A humidifier. Are you allowed to go and put water and make into a humidifier? So but B'derek Klal the shal is not negeya, because how are you going to take boiling hot water and put it into a humidifier on Shabbos? All right, but you put it into the humidifier, there's no blech. And there's no mitzias on Shabbos of taking even a hot item and putting it onto an open flame. And a humidifier is considered in halacha an open flame because there's no blech. So generally, it's not negeya. Elamai, you'll say we're talking about a chayla. Let's say there's a child that has a a lot of times children need these. They have the flu and they have this and they have that. So you'll say it's for a kid. So if you're mattering the Yisr Rabbanan of Chazara, so you're going to matter the Yisr Rabbanan of anyways of the moilid. So it's hard to find a case where this could be a needed, right? So I'm not sure, but I found the case. I'm the first person ever that found the case. I'm making this water, which we said to make the water is mutter, and now you're taking water and making it into steam. Is making water into steam, is that considered a Isser of moilid? What's the Isser? What's it then? So there's a Minchas Yitzchak that talks about this in Zayin Chav Aleph. Again, I don't understand fully well because he's discussing a vaporizer, which we said anyways has other issues. But Minchas Yitzchak Zayin Chav Aleph discusses the Shaila, and he has a Nidin over there where he says it's considered a Shaila of a moilid lefisha because the bubbles go away. So he dons, what's the din of a moilid lefisha, something that doesn't last for a long time? Lemaisa, he dons it, and the Shmir Shabbos Hilchos in Perek of Gimel in Halachos of Zion, he's mekel. So Klapi this shot, and the answer is Pashit why you should be mekel, because you're going from water to steam. What's steam? Steam is not going from solid to liquid, liquid to solid. Steam is going from liquid to liquid. It's just a different form of liquid, but that's the chayra. We didn't find any reason to be machmer on that. So far we have three shilas. Upon him, that's three shilas. Shilah number one, could you make the water? Yes. Shilah number two, what about the steam? Letting the steam go and cook the davar yavesh for sure. I'm not it would be allowed to even cook the davar yavesh, which has juice on it. Shilah number three, could you make steam? I don't see a problem in making steam on Shabbos. There's no moilid. Shilah number four, and this by me is a really big shilah, which I'm just going to touch on the shilah because we're not yet equipped to dine the shilah yet because we didn't learn the sugya, is what about atmana? I said the other day, I don't understand the whole shilah of atmana, and I see that Rabelski says he also doesn't understand the shilah of atmana. But now that I see this item, I don't understand why it's not a shilah of atmana. The Maisa, the way it works, the by side is a Shulchan Aruch and Siman Reishin and Chetz, which Emir Hashem, we are going to learn as Hashem is Baruch. If you take a baby bottle and you put it on Shabbos into a Nagelwasser cup that has in it boiling hot water from a klisheni, not a Shiloh Bishul, not a Shiloh Bishul, it's klisheni or whatever. And now you take this baby bottle and you want to go and you want to heat it up in a Nagelwasser cup, a very, very common thing that, you put it in the Nagelwasser cup and it heats up the baby bottle. So the Mishnah Berurah brings down a Taz, and we paskin like that if it's sitting there and floating, so then it's no problem. But the Mishnah Berurah says, but if it sit there and you mamish submerge it and you don't let the baby bottle come out, the Mishnah Berurah says that's a problem of a tmana on Shabbos. If it's totally submerged and it's a shaila, is it submerged at the water level or is it submerged the entire baby bottle, the part of the nipple, or no, just where the liquid is? Okay, these we have to talk about. But the Mishnah Berurah first says, if you have a Nagelwasser cup and you have a baby bottle and you submerge the baby bottle, you hold it down in order to heat it. If you just let it sit there and flop up and down, so there's no problem. But if you sit there and submerge it, that's atmana because you're being matmin it on Shabbos in a hot liquid. even though that hot liquid is getting less and less, but it doesn't matter. Rabbi say, why is that different than the steam? Why is liquid different than steam? I just said the reason why it's not moiled is because liquid is steam. So now what do? You take the food and you basically put it inside this box. If you what I saw in the picture, you put it inside the box and then the steam goes around it and sits around it for 14 minutes. Why is that different than a liquid? I do not know. Does anybody know? Rebelsky, he talks about it, money. He says it's not a mana. And then in Haggah on the bottom, he asked this question. I don't understand what he's answering. So I guess when we get to Atmana, I'll yes understand what he's saying. I hope and pray. But until then, it could be you shouldn't use this stuff on Shabbos. Right? It could be you shouldn't use this stuff on Shabbos. I'll mention one more thing. I'm sorry, Hatmana before Shabbos is mutter. Correct. But we're not dealing with Hatmana before Shabbos, Rabbi Sitzka. We're dealing on Shabbos right now. On Shabbos, you can do anything. Before Shabbos, you can do anything. We're dealing on Shabbos. The water is food. Very good question, Rabbi Posen. But you see that not like that, because you see the Mishnah Berurah says that when you're using water as a matmin agent, so then it's different. I'm submerging in steam. Very good, Rabbi Gottman. That's the shaila. Who said that to submerge in steam is not considered unwrong? Now, if somebody wants to come along and say some murdik cooler or something like that, yeah, somebody wants to come and say that it's not dumia de remetz or something like that. Okay, I don't have koyach to say such things. Maybe. Even Rebelsky didn't say that, but the bottom doesn't touch the steam. No, the whole thing is mamish surrounded by steam. Right, the whole thing is surrounded by steam. It's always like that. The bottom itself, the entire. Okay, but I don't think that's considered. The whole thing is wrapped around by steam. I don't think we look at it like that. The truth is, it's not even true. It's not true because the hot water's on the bottom. It's not even true. The hot water's on the bottom. So the steam goes around and it's hot from the bottom. So it's basically, submerged in steam. No, Reb Philip, you understand what I'm saying? It's submerged. It's a murdik chiddush, but no, and it's also a Sunday. So I don't want to say chidushim, right? But the same also the Maisa. I saw Belsky asks also our other shaila: is there a makeh b'patish on? Where's Rabbi Brownstein? I need him a minute. Where is he? Where's Rabbi Brownstein? Where is he? Turned off his TV. Brownstein. Somebody told me that Rabbi Breuer said that any chemical reaction is an issa deraisa of makeh b'patish. That was the shmua b'shem Rabbi Breuer. Any this is called labriut, this item. I called it gesundheit by mistake. It's called labriut, right? And the labriut people sent it to me. I thank them very much. But Al Kapanim, and they also sent me that the name is labriut and not gesundheit. I thank them very much for that. But I guess they got a free advertisement now. But Al Kapanim, the Rabbi, you have to ask his grandson. Apparently, Rabbi Breuer said that anytime you make a chemical reaction on Shabbos, that's an issa d'oraisa makeh b'patish. Now, I find that to be a tremendous chiddush. Rebelsky Mefurish says not like that. Rebelsky says it's not a makeh b'patish. He has an interesting story. I said the other day it's not makeh b'patish because Rabbi said if we find in the Gemara that striking a match, the only nidin that the Gemara had about striking a match was moiled. The Gemara on Klape, obviously not Shabbos, I mean Yontif, right? That if you strike a match on Yontif, now on Yontif the zin is for makeh b'patish, Rabbi said. So the Gemara says that on Yontif, you would have theoretically been allowed to strike a match, mitzad makeh b'patish. The only nidin is mitzad moiled. That's the nidin of the Gemara. So you see that going from yesh mi'ayin, that's a moiled at best. It's not even a makeh b'patish. The most it could be is a moiled, right? So to take a chemical reaction and to make cold water become hot water because of a chemical reaction inside, it's not even like a fire. I wouldn't even hear it's a moiled. And I certainly wouldn't hear it's a makeh b'patish. That's what I said the other day. I don't hear it, it's a makeh b'patish. Otherwise, every single time you make a cold water go to hot water, it should be makeh b'patish. Somebody should have done the shaila, right? Someone should say, Rabbi Isai, that if you take water which was previously cooked, it's a raya she'en lo tshuva. If you take water which was previously cooked and make it in which we know yesh bishul achar bishul, but davar lach is a very big machlokes. We ourselves are machmer on the shaila, but there are rishonim that held if you have water that was previously cooked and then you cook up that water again. So that many rishonim hold that it's mutter. Okay, we're machmer because of bishul, but nobody ever said it's also because of makeh b'patish. So somebody should have come along and said that it's also to take cold water that was previously cooked, heat it up because makeh b'patish because of a chemical reaction. So that's what I said the other day. Rebelsky says differently. He says it's not makeh b'patish, because he says makeh b'patish is only when you're taking an item in the stage, making it usable, a usable kli to be able to use. a kli that you use. That's what he says. Mashenkein, if this is the usage, that's not makeh b'patish. This is the shtamshis. For example, makeh b'patish is when I take my glasses and I bend them back into shape. It's taking a kli and making it usable that I can now use the item. That's a makeh b'patish. The last touches on a table, on a building, etc. Makeh b'patish, right? Makeh b'patish is not when this is the shtamshis itself. Right? Is that clear by people? Makeh b'patish is only when I'm doing the finishing touches on the item, not when this is the usage. So Rabbi Rosenberg is asking, that would have been the kasha I would have had on Rebelsky, that maybe you're making the water into a kli to be able to use, to be able to send off its steam. Rebelsky, I guess, held not like that. That water for sure can't be a kli. You got to hold off on this labriyut business. To make the water doesn't bother me. To cook up the food in its steam doesn't bother me. To make the chemical reaction doesn't bother me. To make the steam doesn't bother me. But what does bother me is that mana, and that mana issue I'm going to come back to. It's interesting. Rebelsky didn't bother him, that's mana issue. But that in Mitzvah we'll come back to. That's number one. Number two, what's the question, Rabbi Fiskus? Steaming? What's the question? Got it. Okay, great. Okay, Rabbi say. So let's go weiter. One more thing about the water dudes, the dude Shemesh. So I looked in one of the achreinim from about 50 years ago, 60 years ago. This great achrein, he's in the Olam Emes now, and so is the Shemesh that he describes. That the Shemesh that he's describing is no longer with us. It's now also in the Olam Emes. The reason I'm saying that is because I saw a lot of these Kitzes farm. They bring down like a machlekes, like as if there's two sides. They bring Rishon Zalman and Rabbi Yashin and others that say that a Dut Shemesh is going to be Aser, and they bring down some other Achrayim that say it's going to be Mutter. So I looked in those Achrayim, I looked in 2 or 3 of them, and the description of what they're describing, the Dut Shemesh system that they're describing is Batal Mavatal. It's not here anymore by Isai. It doesn't exist. It's not here at all. It's true. The one they're describing might have been Mutter, because they say one interesting svara. They say the pipe itself is getting heated from the sun, which for sure that might be Chama. And then they say, so now the water goes into a tank, and when you open up the hot water, the cold water is going to get cooked in the hot water, which that should be at least told as Chama. So they say a nice svara, which is sort of the svara we said before. They say, since the only way to have hot water in this system is by having told as Chama, so then everybody knows how did it get hot, because there was a tank on the roof, and that tank is now down here, and that water is coming straight from the sun. So everybody understands that the hot water you have in your house is coming from the sun. Of course, that does not apply today, and then they want to say, therefore, that wouldn't be called Toldas Chama. That's considered a connection to the Chama, which is a very, very big jump from what I just said, where you see in front of you the labriyut, and you see in front of you the magnesium, and you see everything in front of you. But even if you'd want to say it, Rabbi said, it has nothing to do with the Dud Shemesh of today, which you have in front of you, nothing, because it also has the electric system right in front of you in the same exact system. So versteht in the exact same tank, you could be having hot water, which was heated from the fire. So versteht, that's why today, avad that heter is batal mavatal. It's mamish, to me, an absolute pella mamish. Unbelievable. It was a different system, Rabbi Rosenberg. The system was a totally different system. And they write that. They write themselves. It's a totally different system. It's a pella mamish. You see a couple of the achreinim that they bring down as if there's a machlekes in this. And it's mamish. I saw this also, another sefer. He wants to say, maybe according to Moshe Feinstein, he said that maybe according to Moshe Feinstein, today a Dut Shemesh will be a deraisa. Because Moshe told us that if you have a system that you cook with, so then that becomes normal, that becomes a tolda. So then maybe also today it became normal to cook with a Dut Shemesh. We spoke out that, of course, that's not true, because the fact that it became normal, it's not normal to cook water in a Dut Shemesh. It's normal to have hot water after an entire day goes in a Dut Shemesh, but it's not an efficient, normal way of cooking water. So therefore, that's a vada that won't be a deraisa. Okay, that's Adkan a kafal. Now we go weiter, boy say. Now we're going to start the Mitzvah Shem, the big sif. This is the major sif over here, really, in Shin Yud Ches. which is the major sif in sif, mamish the ganze major sif of Bishul is sif daled. Tavshul, shenis bashul called sarchai. This is something we discussed already. The basics. If you have a tavshul that was fully cooked, yesh boy mishum bishul. It wasn't me a tavshul. It's referring over here. Mr. Brewer explains to something liquidy. When you have a liquid item that was already previously cooked, like a chicken soup, like hot water, like we'll see soon, a cholent that has a lot of liquid in it, a tavshul that was already previously cooked. It was totally cooked. Still, yesh by mishum bishul im nitstanein, if it cooled off. Then Shulchan Aruch goes on. But if it didn't get fully cooked, even if it was nispashal ben Michael ben Drusai, even if it got cooked up to the level of what ben Drusai, this ganif, would consider be enough to eat in a shasatzchat situation, which we said is either a third cooked or either half cooked. Shaykh bishul. If you have a tavshul and it got cooked up, we'll have to see exactly what this means, right? Because now we seem to have jumped into dry foods, but we'll have to get there. But let's say you have a food which is hot. We have a chicken which is a half cooked or a third cooked or something like that. So you think I'm 60% cooked, 70% cooked. So the loch is im loin is bashal called sarchai. Afilu in this bashal ben drusai shaykh bishal afilu boy dereteach v'hani mili sheyesh boy bishal achar bishal when it has morak, it has mark, it has liquid. Aval tavish in his bashal kvar v'hu yavesh mutter now ein bishal achar bishal in a dover yavesh. That's a mitzvah Hashem. Obviously, we're going to come to explain. All this we have to explain. Now, let me go back a step over here to give a little bit background over here. First of all, the halacha is ein bishul achar bishul. Pashit, when you have an item which is fully cooked, like a cholent, your cholent is now by goyim. Goyim don't have cholent. My goyish friends are boysai. They tell me they don't even know what the cholent is. They have what's called stew. Stew is potatoes, a little bit of by the goyim, I guess, a little bit of chaza burgers. They have maybe they throw in some barley, and it all just sits there and cooks together. That's stew, right? Eden have something that stew is fully cooked. I'll prove it to you. Millions of goyim are eating stew, right? We have something called cholent. Cholent means that once it's fully cooked, all you have the potatoes there, the meat there, it's fully cooked. But then it gets it becomes ein shtik zach, right? And then that's already cholent. That Rabbi said, for example, is so I think if I'm not mistaken, I'm being guessed Rabbi Khan. I think if I'm not mistaken, the Svardim eat chamin. Chamin isn't exactly so much like a cholent, no? It's more like a stew. Is that true? It doesn't get all geklept zusammen as that. It's like separate, right? It's all like separate as that, right? Very well. Okay, so I no way was saying that Svardim are goyim, because that's why I said chazer burgers, right? Because that's what the goyim eat. But what the Svardim have is they have Svardim chamin, right?
Eggs.
They have yesh v'yesh. Rabbi Elbaz is saying it's not true. Those Svardim are goyim. Akapanim, but they have potatoes on the side and the meat in the middle and the barley on the side and the eggs over there, and whatever, right? That's how they do it. Right? And the kishka, they also probably have in a separate thing. And of course, rice for shteitzach, right? Right, for shteitzach. So, but if you would explain to somebody, come on, it's not a cholent. And he took it off on Friday night and he took himself out a couple of potatoes and he's putting it back and making it into cholent. So the law is ein bishul achar bishul. Ein bishul achar bishul has two mashmusim. One is, it's the same idea. One is that once I'm 100% cooked, going from 100% cooked to mitztamik v'yafel, to more geschmack, to more ziz, to more dry, to more whatever, that is not called cooking. 100% cooked, what was called 100% cooked after Dan, but 100% cooked, going to 140, ain't bishul. 98, going to 100, that's bishul deraisa. That's one mashmoyas of ain't bishul achar bishul. Once it's fully cooked, no more bishul. Another mashmoyas of ain't bishul achar bishul is once you have something like a schnitzel, a schnitzel's fully cooked. Now you want to heat it up, ein bishul achar bishul. The fact that you're making the schnitzel warm, hot, etc., ein bishul achar bishul. That's number one. Number two, this is why I mentioned the other day that Rav Henkin said that even though you have a blech, I think I saw it's brought down in one of his farm, Igra, forget the Igra, forget which one. I saw it on Shabbos. That Rav Henkin said that if you have a blech, somebody asked, what's the makor of Rav Henkin? What's the makor from Rav Henkin? And I found it. It was in one of his farm, and now I forget which one. He says, if you have a blech, and we know once you have a blech, even if the food is not fully cooked, you're allowed to put it on before Shabbos. Rav Henkin said it's not kedai because once you're going to take off the lid, you're going to start monkeying around. You won't be able to put it back, and you won't be able to put the food closer to the fire. It's very interesting. Somebody sent me an email like this. He sent that he was listening to the shir. It's unbelievable. He was listening to the shir, and he told me, you can't believe this. He told me for 6 years, unbelievable. For 6 years, he used to take the chicken soup, and they used to have it closer to the fire, and then the cholent would be further away from the fire. Every Friday night, he would take away the chicken soup and then push the cholent closer to the fire. He didn't think anything twice about it because what's the shiloh? But then he realized, what's the reason why I put the cholent closer to the fire? Because I wanted to get cooked overnight because it's not yet even fully cooked, right? So he realized for 6 years he was over because you see the chacham of Rav Henkin. People think once there's a blech, I call mutter. And for 6 years, what was he being over on? Kirav Bishul. It was going from being cooked after 3 hours, 4 hours. Now it's going to get cooked after 2 hours. That's called Kirav Bishul. And Kirav Bishul is an Issa Deraisa. There's a Meiri over here that I saw on Shabbos. The Meiri is talking the Mishnah in Shabbos and Dafayin Gimel. And the Meiri says first, Kol Shememayer Lefais or Levashel. Rabbi Kiveger brings a Ritva. But the Ritva maybe even sounds like he's mistapik. Here's the Meiri, he says first, Kol Shememayer Lefais or Levashel, keep going. If he's boilel, if he Meges, he stirs. Oi kisoy shel kedera. Mason kis, he puts the lid on the pot, and he's memayer the bishul chayiv mishum mivashel. It's bishul deraisa, Abaisai. Mamish bishul deraisa. So what's the shaila? And I see I'm being asked this shaila over here. So let me go into this a little bit now. The Bir Halacha says like this. The Bir Halacha says that once you're after Michael ben Drusai, you hit Michael ben Drusai. Michael ben Drusai, we're saying, is either a third cooked or a half cooked. You hit Michael ben Drusai. So it says the Bir Halacha, after Michael ben Drusai, the Shulchan Aruch paskins mefurish that's called bishul deraisa. That's an isser deraisa bishul. Okay, if I take my cholent off and the potatoes are still hard and I put it back, so that is bishul deraisa. The Shulchan Aruch says the Bir Halacha. Because this, listen to the words of the Bir Halacha. If I took off the pot from the fire on Friday night, the suffix which is a very, very common case. I'm not sure if the potatoes are soft enough that they're considered bishul kol tzarcha. They're like 90% or 80%. I'm not sure. Also, I'm not sure. So now you can't return it, even though it's in his hand. Even though there's a blech, goof of a ketuma. It doesn't matter. Once you're going to put it back, you're going to cause it to cook, and it's aser. And the poskim speak out. If I took off the lid on Friday night, right, and I see that I'm not sure. I look now at I say, I'm not sure if the cholent is fully cooked. The potatoes are like maybe 100%, maybe 80%. I'm not sure. Now, can I put the lid back on? So the Meiri says to put the lid back on is deraisa, so it's a suffix deraisa, and therefore it's aser, right? And so what does the blech do? The blech has to do, Rabbi Danziger, with the isser of chazara. That's an isser drabanan of chazara, that when something is fully cooked, it looks like you're cooking. Then they still want a blech to show that it doesn't look like a cooking. And it's Hashem, those halachas we're going to learn. But we're dealing with real cooking over here. We're dealing with a person that it's 50%, 60%, 70% cooked, or maybe it's not 100%. I'm not sure. Maybe it's 80, maybe it's 100. I don't know. Says the Mishabura, it's an issa deraisa to put it back on. You can't put the cover back on. You can't put it back on. You lost your cholent. So we have to figure out what to do for this guy. Right. So you're asking, what did Drusai do? It's true. Drusai yelled it's enough to eat. And therefore, to make it to Michael ben Drusai, that's called a tikkun enough to be called you cooked. But there's also another level of cooking, of going from the level of Michael ben Drusai to fully cooked. To go from fully cooked to 120%, that's not enough of a teitzah. That's not enough of a chshivistic bishul. So that's the halacha. Is that crystal clear? You'll see my question in a minute. We have to figure out what to do for this person. He took off the lid. Right. We have to see. What if you fully cooked, you just want the food to get hotter? Yeah, no. Avada, Rabbi Moyle, if the food is fully cooked, so then Avada, you're allowed to put it back on to make it more hot because it's fully cooked. So long as you have the tnoyim of chazara, which are all these things that we have to talk about, it's got a blech, it was in my hand, it was my das, whatever. Those are the darbanans, We're dealing primarily with the deraisa. If something is maybe not fully cooked, I don't know. It's a very common case. Rabbi said this is so common. That's why Rav Henkin was saying to make sure it's fully cooked. It is so common to not be 100% sure if the potatoes are fully cooked, right? It's so common, this, right? The worst kind of kiruf. So Mela, watch this. So the Biur Halacha says, if you have a suffix, don't put it back on the lid. If you have a suffix, don't go and put it back and lose your chalent. I give you an 8 in a moment, but you have to lose your chalent, right? You hear this meiser, Shalom Yankov, you lose your chalent. That's it. Gonzo. Is Rabbi say like this? So now I have a kasha. Chayra, it's a fake sveika. No? Chayra, it's a fake sveika. Why is it a suffix? Rabbi say the next Biur Halacha, not some like Fakrach and the Biur Halacha 200 simanim away. The next Biur Halacha, he says, what happens? He brings down, he says you should know that the Shulchan Aruch brings down over here that you should know once you hit Michael Ben Drusai, it's still called cooking. To go from 50% to 60%, from 60% to 70%, from 80% to 100%, all that is called bishul, because it's always a ticking until you get to bishul called sarchai. So he says, you should know, halai harbe rishonim cholkin al seh. Many rishonim argue on this, and they hold once you hit, like your question, I think it was asked before, Rabbi Danziger, Avia Ben, I think. No, Avia Ben or Avia Bas? Sorry, Avia Bas. We're looking for a shidduch already, Rabbi. The Biur Halacha brings over here Ramban, Rabbi Yaina, Rashba, Rosh, Ran, Meiri. They all pass like Rabbi Danziger that once it was Michael Ben Drusai, it's no longer bishul because it's already called edible. It's already called edible. We don't pass him like this, the Shulchan Aruch, right? So first of all, the Mishnah Berurah is ganz mistopic over here. Why the Shulchan Aruch across the board doesn't say anything? He just says one shita. Going from Michael Ben Drusai upward, that's bishul. There's many Rishonim that are not like the Rambam. So the Biur Halacha at the end, he goes, you should know the Rambam is not a das yachid. There's many Rishonim that also say it's called bishul going upward until you get to 100%. That's the Zarua. He brings a Yuva. He says, Oid Matasi, Chevel Rishonim. I found the Sefer Truma, I found the Smag. You see the incredible Bekiyas of the Biur Halacha. He didn't have a Oiter Chachma Rabbi Yisai. Smag, I go, Maiminis, Biur Halacha knew all of them, Rabbi Yisai. He says, no way, Aser. And he says the Biur Halacha, therefore you can't go like I mentioned, and Cain is mashma in the Gra and the Chulei. But the Biur Halacha ends with these words. He says, but let's say by mistake you messed up. And you took the Cholem pot when it was Michael Ben Drusai. It's a 70% cook. You took it off. Okay, and then you put it back on, right? Onto the hot plate. You tell your wife, you know, you're not going to believe it. Last night, most men don't cop these things, right? You tell your wife, you know, last night I had some cholent and Taka, the cholent didn't taste good. She says, why the cholent didn't taste good? What's wrong? I davened and I cried and I said all the kipituch tilim and you went to the mikvah and whatever. Why doesn't it taste good? He says, well, I know what to tell you. The potatoes were mamish hard. They didn't take. She says, Chacham Einer. What do you mean the cholent? It wasn't yet fully cooked. Today it's going to taste good. He says, what? You mean that I put it back on? It was 70%. So then, I will tell you how we let it eat the cholent. How would I eat the cholent? The cholent is l'chayra bishul to rice, according to the Rambam, according to the Shulchan Aruch, according to the Goyin, according to the Smag, according to Sefer Truma, according to the Smak, according to the Gais Maiminis, give out. So she says, nah, don't worry. That's my version of the Biur Halacha over here. That the Biur Halacha says that b'di eved we don't make a knas on a Maisa Shabbos. Since the Rashba would have eaten this cholent, the Rashba would have taken it himself and physically put it onto the blech, onto the fire, because he says, Rabbi Hershoff, that once it's considered Michael Ben Drusai, and going upward is not considered bishul, because Michael Ben Drusai is already called mevushal, called tzarchai klape, what we want. So therefore, if the Rashba would have done it, so then we're not going to make a knas and say that if somebody did it, we're going to ask it b'diavad. Crystal clear, Rabbi Yisai? As I say, thumbs up, klar, nish klar. Klar? We're not going to make, is Rabbi Yisai, for Kallus a kasha, so I have a kasha. So then we have a sveika. We have a kasha on the last Biur Halacha. What did the Biur Halacha tell us? Biur Halacha says that if you come on Friday night and you had that cholent right now, and you look at it and you're not sure, is it 100% cooked? Is it 80% cooked? You don't know. You don't know. It's very hard to figure out if it's 100% cooked. You don't know. You don't know. Says the Bialacha, don't return it to the fire. Don't, even if it's a covered fire. Why not? It's not to be Bialacha because it's a child Teraisa. Because Michael Ben Risai, we pass in Teraisa. Rabbi say, fake. Suffix number one is that maybe it is fully cooked. Something number two, even if it's not fully cooked, there's a chevel of Rishayim that hold that once you got to Michael Ben Risai, you're considered cooked, and it's not called bishul. Sveika and halacha is mutter. So why over here don't we say sveika? Rabbi Blinder, it's not the same suffix at all. It's one is Rabbi Blinder is asking me, it's the same suffix, and we know that that's the cloud from the Gemara in Ksuvis. Or for those that didn't learn Ksuvis, it's a shach in Yeridea, right? That it's shame suffix chadu. He's asking it's the same suffix. Maybe this is called fully cooked. Wrong, Rabbi Blinder, as much as I love you and your family too. But it's wrong because it's suffix number one is maybe it's fully cooked. That's a suffix in mitzvahs. Suffix number two is a suffix in halacha. Suffix in halacha and suffix in mitzvahs is considered two different suffix, right? It's considered two different suffix. Is that clear, Rabbi Blinder? Blinder, is that clear or not? Oh no, where's Rabbi Blinder? We lost Rabbi Blinder. I give out. I'm very nervous now. Akopanim, so it's considered a baitzai, a sveika, sachar, sarich ian gadol on the shulchan arech, right? No, it doesn't matter that the suffix is totally in the same thing, Rabbi Blinder. Do I have koyach to turn somebody off? How does it work over here? Because in the kaidel, I was able to kick guys out of the kaidel. I was Stefanski. I have the ability to press a button and get him out of here, or no? What do I have the ability to kick him out or something? How would I do it? I can kick him out. All right. I kick him out. Okay, very good. That is a warning to you, Rabbi Blinder. Let that be a warning, Rabbi Isai. Right? When you have a suffix in halacha, that's considered a different type of suffix. Suffix number one is this halachically considered fully cooked? That's a suffix in halacha. Then there's another suffix in mitzias. Is the thing fully cooked? It's two separate sfeikas. You must do tshuva immediately, Rabbi Blinder. That's in the first shach in Simin Kuf Yud in the Klali Sfeiki. Immediately you must do tshuva, Rabbi Blinder. Right? That's not. There's 100 people that are waiting for you to do tshuva. Please, we beg of you to do tshuva. Now. Tomorrow is Bahab. Okay, he's right. Okay. Now, Baisai, Lamaisa. So why isn't it fake faker? Why isn't it fake faker? The Bialacha says you can't return the challan. And this poor guy, do you know what his wife is going to do to him when she finds out that he didn't put the challan back on? Right? Baisai, we're talking about divorce. We're talking very serious things over here. Right? There's not going to be challan for lunch. You don't know. You don't know. You don't want to be involved in these types of issues. So at first I thought, does anybody have an answer or no? Does anybody answer? No one? I'll change the page over here, so I'll look at new guys' faces. 1 minute. Volvi has no answer. Nobody has an answer? Right? Manny, don't have an answer? Yudit, no answer? Eric, no answer? We don't hold like them. It's not a suffix. Interesting. You should know, Victor, that is such a big chiddush, what you just said. I'll prove to you, Victor, that we do hold to them to a certain extent, because to a certain extent, we don't make a knas. And also, the Bialacha brings down here, Rabbi Spiro, 5, 6 Rishonim, Rabbi Yoiner, Ramban, Rashba, Rosh, Ran, Iyar. How could you say that they don't even exist in the suffix? So I had it sad to say that maybe it's called the suffix shoitim. You know what a suffix shoitim is, Rabbi Say? The Shach in Yeridea says a suffix shoitim isn't even mitzaref to a sveika. Suffix shoitim means you don't know the answer, but somebody else will. So at first I thought maybe this is a suffix shoitim, because when you have potatoes, and you're looking at the challah right now, somebody else might know if that's fully cooked, right? Somebody else might know if it's fully cooked or not. It's just that you don't know, right? So I asked, what do you think about that? Then it would be good. Then it's not a real suffix. A suffix that somebody else wouldn't have, only you have the suffix, so then it's only one suffix. It's considered just one suffix. Behind the suffix, if do we pass in Michael Ben Drusai or not, that's the suffix the Raisa L'chomra, and therefore we don't let you put the challah back on. But you can't be mitzaref to this fake sveika, the second suffix, that maybe it's fully cooked, because that's not a real suffix. That's a fool suffix, right? What do you think about that, Philip? What do you think? Filippo, compadre, no. Bialacha, beginning of 1261. Yeah, that idea. No, but that's a little bit different, Rabbi Brownstein, because that's a suffix to the whole world. It's a little bit different. But do you guys like what I'm saying? No. So I'm being guessed over here. Who am I being guessed from? LEF. Who's LEF? Who's that? Who's F? But he's asking over here, L'chaira, why don't you just taste it? Why don't you just taste it? Right? So what's the answer to that, Rabbi Isai? Rabbi Isai, where's the cholent right now, Rabbi Isai? There's two cases here. It's true. One case I said was where he took the cholent off. There was another case where the cholent is on the fire and he took off the lid. And now we want to know, could he put back on the lid? So Rabbi said, what's he going to do? Take out a potato? If he takes out a potato and that potato is not fully cooked, so then what happens? He'll take out the potato and it wasn't fully cooked. And maybe there's somebody else in there that's not fully cooked. And now it's going to cook faster because there's less things in the pot. And it's a mitzvah to kill him. So it's true. If he already took it out, so that'll be a shtickle eitzah. Maybe that'll be an eitzah. Let him take out the cholent, put it onto the counter.
But then he can put it back if it's not fully cooked.
So he won't be able to. He won't be able to. But that'll be eitzah. Why can't I take the cholent pot, put it on the counter, now take out one potato, and then taste the potato and see if it's fully cooked? But basically, we're not fixing anything here. We're making it worse. So then what's pshat in the biur halacha? What's the pshat? The biur halacha is not interesting. The biur halacha didn't give eitzes over here. Okay, I guess the biur halacha is not an eitzah sefer. But again, let's go back a step. Again, the biur halacha told us that if I took off the cholent and now I have the holding the cholent and I don't know if it's fully cooked, the biur halacha says don't return it. I asked the question, why is that not a fake? Suffix number one is that maybe it's already considered fully cooked. Suffix number two is even if it's not, maybe Michael Ben size enough. That's my kasha. So we're saying an answer. Maybe that's not called a suffix because it's a full suffix. It's a shaitim suffix. It's a suffix that you don't know the answer to, but maybe somebody else does. Now you should know, I talk to expert cooks, Rabbi Isai. You know, the women in my life, the mama, my Freud, my tochter, my, all the women in my life. And they all say that's not true. It's not true, right? Without tasting it, right? Let's say go back to the case of the lid that I took off. Without tasting it, you can't, by looking at something, see if it's fully cooked. Sometimes it could look on the outside, it's fully cooked. And then when you would bite into it, so then it'll be hard. So you can't do that. So to say it's a suffix shaitim, I don't like it so much. So I was thinking something differently because Mishnah Berurah also doesn't say, because it's just after the Berurah over here, sticking a fork in it on a stem. I'm not even sure. Sticking a fork also won't necessarily, stick a fork into it also might not necessarily help us, Rabbi Isai. But I was thinking maybe a little bit of a difference for Rabbi Isai. Victor wants to say a different teretz. Victor wants to say that the answer is that a psak that the Shulchan Aruch gives, and that the Ramah doesn't argue, and that the Vilna Goyen accepts, that's no longer considered a suffix in halacha. And it's not even mitzdaref to a sveika. Is that the oimik of your kavanah, Victor? That's not even considered a sveika. A suffix that the Shulchan Aruch paskins, it's yes called cooking. The Ramah says it's yes called cooking. The Goyen doesn't argue. The other Chreinim, the Mogen Avram, doesn't argue. So then that's not considered a suffix. That's not something that we consider in halacha a suffix. It's interesting. It's an interesting idea. I hear what he's saying. I'm not sure. Halacha l'maisa, it doesn't matter. The Mishnah Berurah says, l'chayra, like Chacham Victor, that you can't return this cholent pot if you even have a suffix. So now, Rabbi Shron, let's give this guy an eitzah. Let's give the guy an eitzah. Tachlis, if he took off the cholent, and now he's not sure. Is it fully cooked? It's not fully cooked. What could we do? How can we help him out? Or he has the cholent there on that the fire, and he took off the lid, and he's not sure fully cooked or not. To put back on the lid, it's a gomer. That for sure now. To take off the cholent, so we could take off the cholent, but how's it going to help us? Okay, so we'll take off the cholent, and now I'll take off a potato. Okay, so somebody asked me, I said the other day, that you could just take off a potato. I said, you can't take off a potato from when the cholent is on the fire, because now it's going to cook faster if things aren't fully cooked. But I said, you can take off the cholent and take out a potato. What do you mean it's going to cook faster? No, it's not. I said, because what's making this cholent hot? The food is making it hot. The wall is making it hot. So when I take out a potato, it's less hot. the fact that the wall is just as hot, but it also has less heat now, but you also don't have the heat from the potato. So I said the other day that l'chayra, that's considered, that would be a mutter. That would be mutter. So someone asked me, somebody's a shtickle scientist fellow, like a shtickle, like a scientist type of guy. So he told me, he when he sent the email, he said, I am a geek. That was the title, the titles come up like I miss you or I love you, things like that, right? So his came up, I am a geek, right? And he's takamaritik a geek. He said that scientifically, it's not muchach what I said. He said that scientifically, if you take out a potato, but the wall is maybe hotter than the heat from the end of potato, and what? So I'm not a scientist, right? I'm not a scientist. So I'm not a scientist, but I know the Shulchan Aruch doesn't hold like this. So he's right, this Jew is right. If the science is not like this, you have to have a makor that halacha says not like him, right? So the makor is Mefurish Shulchan Aruch and Sif Yud Ches. Watch this. And this will be the eitzah for our friend. He could take off the cholent pot, l'chayra. He could take off the cholent pot, l'chayra, and l'chayra take out a potato and just check it. Sit there and bite around it and see if she's fully cooked. If she's fully cooked, then you know that the cholent is fully cooked. If not, not. Okay, I guess you could assume it all cooks in the same oifen or whatever. And if you see it's not fully cooked, fafalin, you can't put it back. What could you do, right? And if you see that it is fully cooked, so then Givaldik, you'll be able to put it back. But how can I say that you're allowed to take out a potato? So listen to a Shulchan Aruch first in our Siman, in Siman Shin Yud Ches, Sif Yud Ches. Ha'ilfis v'ktera, these pots that were taken off of the fire, im loin is bashal called sorchai, if they are not fully cooked, listen to a davar nifla Rabbi say, ein might see him bekafmem. Don't take out with a spoon. The first, not like Kallus. The first, not like Kallus. It says over here, if you have a cholent pot and it's not fully cooked, don't remove with a spoon. Don't remove it from the first. Why not? Why not? But listen what the Shulchan Aruch says. Shulchan Aruch says, you know why you can't take out with a spoon? It's like the Shulchan Aruch. Because shenimtza megis. Because if you take out with a spoon, you're going to come to stir. And what would happen if I stir? When I stir, since when I put in a spoon, it's a normal thing for a person to stir. So therefore, I'm going to come to stir if I take out with a spoon. And what would happen if I stir? Oh, it's like the Gemara that if you stir, that's mivashal. If you stir a cholent, then obviously you're causing things that were not cooked to get cooked. So therefore, that's us, right? He said, "Bezai, listen to a davar nifla." Rabbi say, "So mamanashach, but it's not like Kallus. It's for sure not like Kallus, right?" Because Rabbi say, it says here. So I said the reason why you're allowed to take out with a spoon is why you're allowed to take out the potato because it's not bishul, right? Fine, but who cares? Rabbi say, you're still not allowed to take out with a spoon. Why? Because you're going to come to stir. So it's not like the scientist, right? But it's also not like Kallus, because Kallus said that you're allowed to take out with a spoon. This gook, he said that you're not allowed to take out because it's called bishul, because when you take out a potato, now whatever's in there is going to get cooked faster, right? That's mefurish, not like that. That's mefurish 100%. It doesn't get cooked faster unless you stir. But who cares why? It says mefurish that you can't put your spoon in because you're going to come to stir. But Rabbi Sai says the Mishnah Berurah here in the Sharatzin and Siman Kuf Lamed Zayin, this Iyar aval oitzos akaf Iyar rak midrabanan. The Iyar of removal with a spoon is only an Iyar drabanan. Like I said, because it looks like a gasa, the Mishnah Berurah says, others say because you'll come to do a gasa, but it's definitely not the raisa. What was our case, Kinderlach? Our case was that he's not sure if the potato is fully cooked. Safek d'Rabbanan. It's only a safek on a d'Rabbanan. If it's fully cooked, then you're allowed to put the spoon in and you'll be allowed to take out. Elamai, you're not sure. So what is it? It's a safek that maybe it's not fully cooked. So there's an issa d'Rabbanan of not putting a spoon in when something is not fully cooked. But here it's a safek if it's not fully cooked. So that's a safek on what? On an issa d'Rabbanan. Safek d'Rabbanan lekula. That's the eitzah for this Jew. The eitzah is he has a cholent. He accidentally took off the lid, the culprit, right? So now you have a choice. You could leave the lid off the whole night, and then of kushtetzach, it's just going to burn out. And also all different types of birds and alligators are going to come inside the cholent and whatever. Who needs it? Who needs it? Rabbi Elbad's no alligators in the chamin. Who needs that? So Elamai, you can't leave the lid off. So what do? You take off the pot, or let's say that was the case that by mistake you took off the pot and say, hey, what am I doing? I'm not sure if it's fully cooked. So how do you check it? So we're saying that since it's only a suffix, it would be a vadai, you will not be allowed to take out. But since it's a suffix, so therefore we're going to let you take out the potato, bite around her, and check if she's fully cooked. If she's not fully cooked, what could you do? If she's yes fully cooked, so then you'll be able to put her back and you'll be able to have cholent. Is everybody b'simcha rabba? Can I tell you one more thing? Are you b'simcha rabba or not? If you're not b'simcha rabba, I'm throwing you out. Everybody b'simcha rabba? Rabbi Danzig, are you b'simcha rabba or not? But then why do both thumbs? Rabbi Kana, I only have one thumb. What's the matter with your other thumb? What's the matter with his other thumb? The guy will never understand such a simcha. Rabbi Folder, where's the other folder? Does he have the same simcha as me? Rabbi Shalom Yankiv, have you ever been happy in your life? You should know, Rabbi Isai, whoever I'm not talking to, it's because you're on my other screen. So don't think it's that I like Rabbi Zaltzer better than everybody else. Rabbi Gottman, now I see you. Well, actually, all you guys turned off your screens. Okay, so I don't see any of you. But Akapanim, I only see these guys, right? Akapanim, let me tell you one more thing, Rabbi Isai. I don't think I've ever been this happy in my life. This is the most simcha I've ever experienced in my entire life, ever. But should I tell you one more thing? 1 second. Nobody move. No one's allowed to move. No one's moving, right? I must tell you, I saw what I don't understand. I don't know. In the Orlatzian in Chelik Beis, in Siman Yud Zayin, I don't know. He says that if you put back on the lid, so then he wants to say it's only a grama. So he says that if you put back on the lid, since it's only a grama, b'diavad, we're going to let you eat the food. Now, I don't fully understand what happened here because I guess he's talking about a case where it wasn't cooked at all. Because if it was anyways half cooked or third cooked, so then that the Mishnah Berurah told us first, we're going to let you eat it because we don't make a knas on something that the Rashba himself would have done, right? So therefore, anyways, I guess the case he's talking about where it wasn't cooked even till a third, and that he says if you put back on the lid, b'di'evid, we're going to let you eat it. He says, why? Because putting on the lid is a grama. But I don't know, the Meiri says not like that. The Meiri says it's an Issa D'Oraisa. I don't know. I don't understand. But say all bishul is grama. All bishul is grama. Every time you take food and put it on the fire, it takes time for it to cook. So the derech of bishul is through grama. So I don't know. So the shilas that we're dealing with are D'Oraisa. Yeah, the shaila we're dealing with is D'Oraisa. So I have one more case. The Eglei Tal says Mefurish, it's Zareya, that Kira Bishul is D'Oraisa. You saw the Meiri says it's D'Oraisa. The Kveger brings a ritva like that. So Allah L'maisa Baisai. I'll stop over here, Baisai. I have one more case I want to say tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem, about this type of topic. But Tachlis, you learned today a very big insight. You learned it's kedai to have the food fully cooked before Shabbos, or Baisai, because if you're not going to have the food fully cooked before Shabbos, inevitably you're going to take off a lid. It's not a good matziv. Tachlis, if the food is not fully, if it's not fully cooked, then that's a problem. We pass him from Michael Ben Drusai upward, Chacham Victor and the Shulchan Aruch and Ramon, the Goyin, they all pass this is a vadai, and that once you go from 80% to 100%, we consider that to be cooking. The only shot we declared is if you accidentally did it, you accidentally put back on the food, so then, and it went from 80 to 100, so the Mishnah Berurah says we don't make a knas. We don't make a knas because how could it be that something the Rashba is going to do that we're going to make a knas on? Then we saw that if you even have a suffix, whether or not you could put back on the cholent because you're not sure if it's fully cooked. So the Bi'alacha Paskin that we suffix, you couldn't put it back. We had a shaila, why isn't this fake sfeika? So we said maybe because it's a suffix shaitim, but that was shver. It's not a suffix shaitim, it's a very good suffix. Chacham Victor wants to say that that's considered one suffix. And not two sfeikas, because we don't even call that a suffix. Once the Maran Paskin and once Ramah Paskin, the Maran Paskin, the J-Dub Paskin, the Goyin Paskin, everybody Paskin, say B'zai, we don't consider it to be a suffix. Elamai, but we ask the kasha, so what tachlis do? You don't want to get divorced. So what do you do tachlis? You have that cholim pot over here. What do you do, Rabbi Yisai? How do you get it back? So to take a potato out when it's on the fire, chas v'shalom. if you have a suffix, because then you're going to cause it to get cooked faster. If the cholent pot is off and you want to take out a potato, so that we saw, so if it's not mevuchel called tzorcha, you're not even allowed to put a spoon in, because then you'll come to be magus. But if it's a suffix, so that was the chiddush that we saw today, that since the issur of putting in a spoon is only an issur d'Rabbanan, it's not an issur d'Oraisa. So therefore, if you have a suffix, if it's fully cooked, you'll be allowed to put the potato in, take out the potato, and see if it's fully cooked. And if it's halavai is, you'll be able to put the cholent back on. And the next case we'll talk about tomorrow. It's Hashem. I'm going weiter and Sif Dalid. Go weiter, Sif Dalid. I miss you all, Rabbi Say. We'll be together again, Rabbi Say. They can't even unmute you today because Danny's in a meeting. So now we're all just going to have to like wave at each other. I can't even hear you. I wish I could hear you. I miss you all, Rabbi Say. No, I think Avi went somewhere also. It's just